Yeah. What's up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB First Look Podcast. I'm your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And we've got a Friday massive slate. 14 games. Ton of pitching, ton of offense. Just a really, really big slate. On these type of slates, I always recommend to our subscribers that you just play in smaller fields. Or you go like MME style and pick whatever contest is going to allow you to make as many teams as you can. If you're a baller, max into the donkey. If you're like not a baller, then maybe like mini max, the mini max on DraftKings or on FanDuel, those 25-cent bitches. More teams the better. If not, then play in smaller fields. I'm someone who will typically play in smaller fields. Not that I don't like to MME. Every once in a while, I like to do to get my hands dirty with some CSVs. But, running the content at Wise Take kind of keeps us concentrated. And that's a good thing. Keeps us on point. Keeps us more specific. So, with that said, let's jump in. 2 cash games. By the way, pretty good day at the Nation. Hopefully some of y'all did well. I thought my article ended up pretty good. All my stacks went off. I think the Indians were probably the least good. But the 4 teams I wrote up today in my tournament article was the Cubs, Royals, Tigers, and the Indians. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And it's not like the Indians are terrible. They just didn't do great. And some of the other teams that I didn't have, like the Yankees, did really well. But Chris Sale balled out. That was nice. Got Bum going now. Got him on every team, so I'm hoping he pulls through. But anyway, cash games for Friday. It's a tough one. There's a lot of different decisions to make. Going through this list, I don't think it's just like super easy. I think Buehler does make a lot of sense. He is the most expensive, but Arizona, while they can strike out at times, they could be a little tough at times as well. Buehler's coming off a complete game against the San Diego Padres, in which he struck out 15 Padres, just something absurd. Threw 110 pitches, but he hasn't pitched since the 3rd, so I guess he's on his 5th day. So that's a little worrisome. He threw 110 pitches, which looks like the most he's thrown in quite a while. But he makes sense. Strasburg against the Mets. Strasburg's having a pretty good year. You can see here he did not play so well against Arizona. Gave up 9 earned and 3 homers. And that's what I mean by Arizona can be tough. But he's got the Mets. This is a pretty big game. The Mets are half a game out of the wild card. And I think the Nationals are only 2 games ahead of the Mets currently. So for the first wild card spot. So the Brewers are in the mix too. I'm not trying to leave them out. But pretty big game for the Nats. The problem is the Mets have been pretty hot. Bieber has been having a solid year, just showing massive amounts of upside. The issue here, of course, is Minnesota is one of the best offenses. They lead the league in home runs. So it's scary. Bauer in Cincinnati, Caleb against Atlanta. It's not pretty. It's like you have all these great pitchers, but they're not in the greatest matchups. Ironically, the better matchups looks like they're for the mid-tier down here. So you've got Yu Darvish at 9-2 against Cincinnati. It's a decent matchup, not the greatest. Cincinnati's not a huge strikeout team, but Wade Miley against Baltimore. Problem there is it's in Baltimore, but Miley's been pretty awesome. Tehran, I don't believe is a very good pitcher, but he gets Miami. Miami did explode on Keuchel today, but he's got pretty good history against Miami. Last time he saw them was in Atlanta. Put up a 21. And then, of course, you have Stroman on the other side of that Strasburg game, who didn't do well against Pittsburgh, but they are tough to strike out. Washington will strike out against righties. Against lefties, very, very tough to strike them out. Against righties, they will strike out. So Stroman could be interesting. Even Keller, who I would never imagine paying $8K for, has been fairly consistent. Had a little bit of a rough outing against Toronto, and he didn't do that terrible. But he's been good. He's been really, really good. So it's interesting because the pitchers you would typically trust more, the arms you believe in, are all in tougher matchups. And the mid-tier guys have the weaker matchups. But I prefer to go with the player when it comes to cash games, so I'm probably going either Buehler or Strauss at the moment. Uh, I guess if I had to pick one, it would be Bueller just because he's looked so good overall. I know he had a bad start against Washington, ironically. But I think I'd slightly lean towards him, although I am a little worried about that. As far as the potential SP2s, you could do the double pay up. The issue is we don't have a ton of guys that are cheap and nice. I kind of like the idea of Smiley. Did well against San Francisco in San Francisco. I mean, and in Philly, which is a much smaller park. The strikeouts have been there overall all year. The issue has been the home runs. Going to Texas probably wasn't the best move for him at the moment. A very, very hitter-friendly park. But this particular park is a really good one, and he's in the NL, so he's getting to pitch to pitchers instead of DH hitters. So I think Smiley would be the lowest I would want to go. Again, you can do the double spend up, and if you want to load up on bats, I don't hate the idea of maybe settling with someone in that mid tier. But I think I usually pay up in cash. I think a Bueller Smiley seems okay. And if you don't trust Smiley, I totally get it. Like I said, the mid tier is fairly deep with options. I just don't love the prices. Like Chris Archer, who hasn't pitched well against St. Louis. Well, he didn't the second time, but he did pitch well against them once. But he's seeing him for the third time. That's tough to see a team so close together. But yeah, my preference would be probably the high-low. I guess I feel a little bit better about Smiley than maybe I should. But I think it'll be pretty popular. From a tournament perspective, I do like the idea of coming down to this mid-tier. Or taking a shot, team like maybe Caleb Smith. The Braves, as hot as they've been. They did just struggle today against Eliza Hernandez, and with this increase in home runs and offense, they've been actually striking out a ton. So Caleb Smith hasn't been in the best form, but the strikeouts will probably be there. That's what he does. The issue, of course, is pitch count because the Braves are typically tougher. But again, lately they have been striking out a lot, particularly to lefties. I think Bieber is also a lot more interesting in tournaments. I don't like to attack the Twins. They don't strike out a ton. He did have a decent outing against them once before. Got 9 Ks. But where is it? But he gave up 3 earned because it's Minnesota and they're really freaking good. I do like Stroman in tournaments. He's going to be his first game pitching at Citi Field for this his second start for the Mets. First at home in Citi Field. He is from the area, so I think that it's a division game. Like he got traded to, he was upset for not going to a contender. Well, this is your opportunity, right? Like there were rumors circulating that he was upset because he really wanted to go to a contender, and when he got traded to the Mets, he felt like they weren't really a contender, I guess. And here they are, half a game out of the wild card with plenty of baseball left. So, and they're going up against the Nationals, who are one of the teams that are ahead of them in the national wild card race. So, I like Stroman. That's kind of a narrative thing. If you don't believe in narratives, I get it, but I kind of like it. And if you go with like a Stroman, and like I already know there's going to be a lot of expensive bats at once. There's going to be some affordable stacks too, so I can't use that as an excuse. But I know there's going to be some expensive bats. But like a Stroman Smiley seems like when they go in there and try to get some, Going into the stacks, Houston stands out for sure against Dylan Bundy, who has actually been somewhat reverse splitsy in terms of power this year, or at least ISO. And we've got the Astros, who have been pretty damn hot going into Baltimore. So you get Bundy, and then you get the bullpen, and you're getting a huge park boost, an awesome park. So yeah, the issue, of course, is Houston, rightfully so, is extremely expensive. It's like their pricing is on steroids. I mean, literally, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of their 9 guys, like assuming that their typical starting lineup goes, which I think it will, 7 out of the 9 guys are over 5K, and that's just wild. But they've earned it. They've been good. I do want Alvarez. I don't care that he's a lefty. I just think this guy is freak nasty. I want Springer, and as you can see, that average remaining dollar per player is sinking quickly. Gurriel has been really, really awesome. I don't think you can leave him out. You're gonna want Bregman, and then it's like at this point, you still got Altuve and Correa to pick from. I guess you could take out Alvarez if you wanted to not have to choose because they've both been playing well. Tough choices here. I guess I'll go with the shortstop because second base is typically positioned like the punt. And you can see, even with Stroman and Smiley, like a 5-man Stro stack is going to be tough. You're looking for serious value. Now, you don't have to play all 5 of their studs. You can kind of take your pick hypothetically. Say, okay, we're just going to roll with like Gurriel and Bregman. Maybe take a shot at a guy like Reddick if you want, or whoever the hell plays. It's ugly. Or go with the catcher, Chirinos. But you get my point. They're very expensive. They're in an awesome spot. We get it. Boston should be pretty popular tomorrow. They've been cold. They get Barria. They won't be as popular because there are so many offenses on the slate. But they will be popular. They will be somewhat owned because they are Boston, even though they have been struggling quite a bit. I do have some good news for those of you. I think it's good news, but the Detroit Tigers decided to give everybody a little gift, and decided to start Edwin Jackson. So supposedly, he's going to start against the Royals. This guy's just been awesome for DFS. Just getting destroyed, but so the Royals played well today. I think Hunter Dozier hit 2 home runs. Cuthbert hit a home run. Seemed like maybe they can get something going. Their prices are not terrible. So in terms of like, not necessarily like value stacks, but in terms of cheaper stacks, if you did want to go up and grab one of those stud pitchers, and didn't want to maybe play Smiley if you didn't have to, I think the Royals do make a lot of sense against Detroit in that bad bullpen. The Yankees have just been on a tear, just absolutely going nuts. Reed Foley did not look great in his last outing. I know this. It was on Sunday. Let's take a quick look at this. Yeah, okay, so against Baltimore. Before that, he was doing all right, But then he goes into Baltimore. Granted, that was Baltimore, but struggled pretty hard. But, the Yankees, I'm not trying to mess with them. And it's hard to stack them because the players, I don't know how they're doing this. The players are doing it with, okay, great, LeMahieu. Look at this. Stanton, Hicks, Sanchez, Voit, E5, Gleyber Torres has been out. Their whole team is hurting, and yet they still find ways to win. They won't call up Clint Frazier, and they're still just going nuts. So they're always an option. But clearly you can see, I haven't even gone through half of the slate. So clearly you can see there's a lot of different ways to go. We also have Kyle Freeland on this slate, who I didn't even mention. I totally forgot about that. But Kyle Freeland's here. That's a decision that you're going to have to make as well. His last start was against the Giants, but it was in Coors, and he did well. You can see against the Nationals had a good game. He's 4,800 against the Padres, who got rid of Franmil Reyes for what it's worth. But if you're not a believer in Freeland turning it around, this guy was in the NL Cy Young running last year. So if you think that he's bound to kind of turn it around, if there's nothing wrong with him, no signs of anything being wrong with him physically, you would think he'd have a lot of positive regression coming his way now. The Padres could be a good team for that. However, if you think that there's something's wrong with him and he just sucks, then I don't know how you don't want to stack the Padres against him because, a lot of money's been won stacking against Kyle Freeland. All right. I think that's going to do it for the slate breakdown. Don't forget to check us out at yslate.com for more of our DFS content. Tomorrow, I believe it'll be Patio Joe and Paulie D on the Wise stream. I will be writing the GPP article for baseball. Paulie D wrote a free NFL preseason article, so anybody that's interested, Paulie has been writing some NFL stuff, even the season-long guys. He's been writing up his top 10 running backs, top 10 receivers. You can actually comment there on the free articles. You can literally comment on the article. So I recommend you get over there and leave them your thoughts. We'll get it in. But come check us out. NFL package is up on the site. We got the promo code. I got it right here. I'm pull it up real quick. Here we go. NFL season pass, early hour special. Full season price going to be $149.99. But for now, you can get it for $99.99 if you use promo code early owl NFL 2019. That's the NFL season pass, the full one. All right. Let's do some top threes. So we'll go top threes here. I'm gonna go with Stroman and Smiley as my 1 and 2 for now. And then I guess I'll go with Caleb Smith as my third. Like, I'm trying to think of a spend up. Maybe might be getting too cute there, but I'll go with Caleb Smith for now. Top 3 stacks, we'll go with Kansas City, Houston for sure. They got to be my number 1 right now, if I can figure out a way to do it. And I guess tentatively the Red Sox. So I'll keep it basic tonight. I'll dig in tomorrow. I'll keep it basic tonight. All right. Dong watch. Let's see. Albert. Do I take Springer? I'll go Springer. I'm not gonna take them all from Houston. I'll go Kansas City, and let's go with Whit Merrifield against Mr. Edwin Jackson. And let's see what else we got here. Click off Kansas City. I want to be relegated just to them. So we'll go look for somebody a little bit cheaper. I'm not gonna, see if we can find somebody a little bit cheaper here. Let's see. Hunter Renfroe. Here we go. It's not like value cheap, but he's cheap. That's going against the Freeland deal, but we'll have to make a decision on that tomorrow. We'll have to dig into that and see what the rest of the nation thinks. That's going to do it. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell so you are notified whenever we put out any of this fire content. We do have another show we are doing like once a week right now, hopefully bumping it up to twice a week soon, but a little more generalized sports talk. So if you're into podcasts, if you're into longer shows, be on the lookout for that too. It's on the same channel, so that's why it's important you hit the bell. All right, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yes.